knew if we got through that one, we was up against the First Division side. And obviously the goals against Manchester City were a pleasure for me because I'm from Manchester and I supported Manchester City as a kid. So they also brought pleasure. But the second one at Blackburn was a nice feeling, very nice feeling.
You're the Brentford goal scorer, and yet you're going to have to parade your talents on the same field as Ian Rush and John Aldridge, and there's inevitable comparisons.
That's right. Actually, Richard Cadet's is the main goal scorer. He wouldn't like you saying that I'm the main goal scorer because he's the one with the goals this season.
Well, you've got the FA Cup goals,
obviously, I've got the goals in the Cup, yeah, so people would be looking at me to perhaps, if possible, clinch the goal in the last couple of minutes and another headline in the papers that I've scored another goal in the FA Cup.
You've been dreaming about that already.
I've been dreaming about it for since the draw, actually, yeah. But, I mean, yeah, it's nice to play on the same pitch as people like Rush and Aldridge, and I'll just go out there and enjoy myself.
The Blissett striking partnership with Richard Cadet has produced 29 goals this season.
What are your qualities? I mean, I know it's, if you had to sort of say what you bring to the Brentford side, what do you think it is? What is your contribution?
I mean, when Steve bought me, he says that he really needs someone to play up front off Gary and who could score a few goals. I mean I think that's what they were lacking last season, and now we've got that. You know, got a bit of pace up there and that, and someone ready to work with Gary. You know, because last season he was up there on his own. It was just like a big ball up front, and he was on his own and do the best you can. But now we've got a bit of variety. We can play to feet, knock it long. He can knock balls on for me, and so on.
Club secretary Polly Cates has been collating the departure of 7,000 fans in an armada of coaches.
Do you know how many coaches we've got for Saturday?
We've got 48.
48, and what times do they leave at?
They're leaving at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, okay, thanks.
Injuries to 3 first-team players meant that Brentford had to make late decisions about today's team. This midweek reserve match at Griffin Park attracted the watchful attention of manager Perryman. Understudy goalkeeper Jeremy Roberts has been standing by in case regular choice Tony Parks didn't recover from a dislocated thumb. Parks remembered for his penalty save against Anderlecht, which won the UEFA Cup for Tottenham in 1984. But not as happy to recall his last FA Cup appearance for Spurs at Port Vale.
Good ball. Riley didn't quite keep his feet. Here's Ford. And Splay waved on. This is Walker. Yes! Oh, Ray Walker! Brilliant!
Yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the lows of my career, and I experienced the side of the coin there where we was the big team and they was the minnows, and they knocked us out. And the joy on their faces was hard to take that day, but now playing for Brentford in the 3rd Division and knocking out Manchester City and Blackburn in the last round, I now understand how they felt, and it is a great feeling, and hopefully we can come off the pitch with a similar sort of result on Saturday.
This is Brentford's centenary year, and it will be the greatest achievement in the history of the club if they could progress to their first ever FA Cup semi-final.
The warning for Liverpool is the bees are about to invade. I suppose so, yes. Hope we don't get stung.
Last season, Wimbledon, in beating Liverpool, produced a huge Wembley upset and a civic reception they'll remember forever.
This Grade 2 listed farmhouse in the Berkshire countryside is the rustic retreat of a man who should now be a household name, but who still remains largely anonymous, even among his fellow professionals.
Who scored the winning goal in last season's, or if you like, this year's FA Cup final?
Cork.
Wrong.
FA Cup final.
Yeah, sorry, wrong. You said Alan Cork.
Sanchez, Cork, Young and Fashanu in there. And Sanchez was in there, and that's a goal for Wimbledon.
But why do you think your goal has been forgotten when so many cup final goal scorers have their names written in lights?
Yeah, it's a strange thing. I mean, it's all because of the save. I mean, that my best mate, Dave Bessett, made. Thanks very much, Dave. Obviously, making the save, be the first goalkeeper to save a penalty at Wembley, it was overshadowed the goal, really. I think some people, in fact, think he scored the goal as well. Yeah, I'm not certain about that.
Has that hurt you a bit?
Not really. I'm not a great one for the limelight. I mean, I think it was Andy Warhol said you only had 15 minutes fame. Well, I had 5 minutes, so I'm waiting for the other 10 minutes to come along quite soon. Hopefully this season.
How much do you remember about the goal itself?
All I remember is I was coming up for a free kick, and Dennis Rice was taking it. Obviously, he was on the ball, and Alan Court went to the near post, and the two lads at the far post were in the wrong position, that being Eric Young and John Fashanu. And I've come up and I've told them, come forward. But in the meantime, Dennis has started his run, so I've gone into their gap where one of them should have been, and just got a flicked it in the goal. Turned to make sure it had gone in, then I looked at the linesman, and then I turned, and just as I turned to make my run, Dennis Wise has jumped straight on the front of me and held me down, so I wasn't able to make a run. I was trying to get off, Dennis, let me make a run, but he wouldn't have it.
Because Bobby Gould said to me, if you'd celebrated the way that your namesake Hugo Sanchez does for Real Madrid, it would be a goal that would have been remembered because you probably would have gone and turned a somersault or something.
Yeah, I was talking to Alan Cork actually after the cup final, and he said, well, if I'd scored, I'd already had my run made out. He was going around the corner flag in the little dance, like one of the Argentinian players, I think. But yeah, I should have practised my run before the game. But I mean, at 33-1, I didn't think I'd have to do one.
33-1 to score the first goal?
Yeah, my brother got £10 on that actually, so he was well pleased. I think he won more money than I did for the cup final.
That's great. Now, after the cup final, Wimbledon had to live with success that they'd never experienced before, and they went through what would appear from the outside to be quite a traumatic period. Dave Besant and Andy Thorne left. There was all sorts of unrest at the start of the season. How do you explain the way Wimbledon have come through that and now find themselves in the last 8 again?
Yeah, as you say, at the beginning of the season, it was a strange situation. Wimbledon's such a small club, coping with success. If you're Man United or Liverpool, you get it every year, so therefore it's easy to cope with. I mean, it was our first real major success, an FA Cup final. We lost 1 or 2 players, not only good players, but good friends, you know, to the team. And there was a lot of unrest within the camp. Other players, including myself, thought, well, if they're going to let the best players go, then perhaps it's time that we also went. We came through it. I mean, there was a lot of talking going, a lot of discussion. We had a lot of crisis meetings, and a lot of things were thrashed out and things said. And the air was cleared, really. And but we struggled at the time. We were second bottom, I think, beginning of this season. People were writing us off again. But Bob got everybody together, and Don got everybody together, and we had a big meeting about it. And everybody started to pull their weight again, and we started to turn the corner. And now, as I say, I think we've lost about 2 games in the last 15 or so since Christmas. Players are signing contracts now and tying themselves to the club. So a lot of the unrest has gone out of the club.
Sanchez.
For all the togetherness that epitomises the Wimbledon spirit, they still have a controversial image to live down. Their disciplinary record and their supposedly rugged style make more headlines than their football, much to the irritation of the players. It's almost Wimbledon against the world.
I think that is part of it, yeah. We do feel against the world, especially against the press. I mean, the press have given us terrible slatings. I mean, for what we've achieved, we've received no credit really whatsoever. I mean, if you take any Vauxhall Conference League that's playing on Saturday and say to them, well, 11 years' time you'll be playing at Wembley and beating the best team in Europe, you could get millions to one against it. We've done it, and we've received no credit whatsoever. The press like to say it's a fairy story, but they don't like the fairy story to continue. They'd like it to finish quite soon, but there's no chance of that happening.
Why do you think the fairy story has happened? I mean, what have Wimbledon had? What's the ingredients of what you've achieved?
I think, as you said, we were a small club against the world, and I think that brought everybody tighter together initially. They battled their ways up to the First Division, and they've kept it going despite all the changes we've had in personnel. It is still us against the world type atmosphere. The 11 players against everybody. That's why we're glad we're playing away at Everton. I mean, because it will be 11 against 11 players plus 30,000 crowd, which will be great for us. That'll definitely to our benefit.
So you really relish the thought of playing this tie at Goodison?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we're looking to we've done well up there. The last 2 years we've drawn both times up there with 10 men for about 25 minutes of both games. But we're looking forward to playing up there very much. Yeah, it's a great ground. That's what playing football is all about, playing at the great grounds.
Do you fear any carryover from the sort of contentious incidents that have happened the last 2 times you've played there?
Not from our point of view. No, I mean, as far as we've gone, once the game finishes, it's forgotten from our point of view. We try not to whinge about things. We try to get on with the next game. I mean, whatever the press will write about it, it won't affect us whatsoever. You know, we've forgotten about it the minute we go off the field. We've done our job. We've played football. We just carry on.
Sanchez has carried on at Wimbledon since he came from Reading for £20,000 4.5 years ago. He's 29 now and totally integrated into Wimbledon's direct style of play.
It is a type of football that is encouraged now by the FA at Lilleshall, based on the fact that 75% of all goals come from 4 or less passes. That's a statistic, no matter where you play across the world. And we've just taken it to the ultimate, you know. We have to get most of our goals with 4 or less touches.
Up goes the kick from Dave Besant, and down it comes on Fairweather's head, and Sayer is in here. It's Sayer, good stop. Fashanu for Wimbledon. It's a goal. They're in front. Fashanu scores, and Everton look at each other and look anything but the First Division leaders. Fashanu, Sayer, yes, it's there! It's 3-1, and surely they've done it now!
We're going out there to do a job. I mean, we don't even know what the team is yet. I mean, but the 11 players that go out and play are going to try the best to get through to the next round of the FA Cup. What happened in the past is history and won't affect, from our point of view, anything.
You don't think there'll be any attempt to provoke Wimbledon because of this widely reported disciplinary record?
I would hope not. I mean, we're all professionals. We can look after ourselves. I mean, I wouldn't think there was any chance of that. Not in front of TV cameras. Well, I shouldn't have said that, should I?
What he could have said is that he's already experienced the moment that most footballers only dream about. This weekend's question of sport is whether Everton can put an end to the fairy tale or whether Wimbledon will continue to thumb their noses at the establishment.
Sanchez, Cork, Young and Fashanu in there. And Sanchez was in there, and that's a goal for Wimbledon. Lawrie Sanchez